Greetings, I'm Rob Chappers, and welcome to Ernie Ball Music Man and the incredible John Petrucci.
Hello.
Did I pronounce Petrucci correctly?
You did.
Okay,
Petrucci like Gucci.
Right. No, I will never forget that you said that. That's good.
That's it.
We just had a little tiny quick chat and sort of got to know each other a little bit more, which was mind-blowing. And something that I promised is that I wouldn't ask you about picking techniques and sweeping and the smorgasbord of things that you've probably been bombarded with for eons.
I could talk about that stuff for forever, but let's talk about something different.
Well, instead, it's 2019.
Yeah.
Isn't that mad?
It's crazy.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
it wasn't long when 1999 happened. And you've got new music.
Yes.
And you've got a new guitar. What else is new?
Isn't that enough? Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting because the timing is so perfect, and I love when things work out this way, and it really is no accident, in working with the Ball family, and the timing of what Dream Theater is doing, and with our record label, there is a lot of working together, and I love when it all comes together, and to the point where I played this guitar or a version of this guitar on the new record, so people can hear what it sounds like.
The question I was going to ask you.
Sorry.
It's fine. Did you use the new prototypes on the album?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So there were a couple of different things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
While we were recording the record, one was that prototypes for this new model were being made.
Yes.
And I was able to get one in time to play on a song or two, if I remember. And the second thing was that we were sort of tweaking the pickups a bit with DiMarzio.
Did you have new DiMarzio pickups, the Rainmaker and the Dreamcatcher?
Exactly, and I was able to integrate those and use those on the record as well, which I'm really happy about.
So through using your new guitar on the album, on the recording, did you go, I really need to tweak this 2K or this one frequency, or was there a thing that didn't quite feel right? Or
So to give you insight on how we sort of dealt with that, I mean, we were, between me, my guitar tech Maddie, and our recording engineer, who we call Jimmy T, who's awesome, we would do things like where we would get the guitar with a new version of the pickups, and record something with it, and then record the same exact thing with, the version 2 of those pickups, maybe that Steve Lucher did another version, and then compare the original pickups that were in the Majesty to that, and go back and forth a billion times and look at it and look at graphs and really listen, which one is really hitting us more, and came to some conclusions that way. So the environment to me was perfect for doing that, because sometimes one of the things that I don't like doing is getting stuff when I'm just kind of at home. Oh, check out these pickups. It's, for some reason, it's not the real environment. You're not like in the battlefield.
That really resonates with me.
Yeah.
How involved are you in the production of Dream Theater?
I produce the record, so
I need the answer. I was hoping you'd elaborate. So what I'm thinking
I will elaborate.
Okay, so what I meant was
the
pickups, therefore, take on the guitar takes on such a bigger part for you.
Yeah.
Because you're so involved in the ultimate sound. A lot of the sound is guitar.
Right.
So it's a huge part of the production of the album. It starts in your hands and then ends up in the guitar.
That's a great point, and I've always said this, and people think that I'm being, biased because I'm a guitar player, but the sound of the guitar in a band, and we'll just generically say a rock band, kind of determines the style of the music.
100%.
I think that's my opinion. I'm glad you agree. So simple example of that is if you're playing with a kind of cleaner sound and you're playing prog, and it's going to kind of this has like a 70s kind of UK prog thing, right? If you are playing a style and it's like more rock and roll, or more just, I don't know, where the guitar is sort of like a more organic, kind of not as heavy, but just like maybe a bit overdriven, gritty sound, then it goes in that direction, whatever, rockabilly, everything. And for me, I go for more of a metal sound, so I play 6 and 7 string guitars, or I do detune the guitar, and I play through my signature boogie, which is that big Mark 2C sound, which is very heavy, and I try to go for like the sound as far as the pickups and the wood and everything that gives this big percussive Metallica heavy thing, and therefore Dream Theater sounds like we're like a prog metal band, because that's the direction that the guitar pushes the music in.
This is getting me excited about recording again at some point.
Yeah. So so I'm sorry, I'm babbling, but I guess I'm kind of getting to the answer to your question. So as a producer, wearing that hat for a second, I want the guitar to be, to have this really powerful, percussive, heavy, aggressive sound, and that's going to push the direction of the sound of the record ultimately. What
mics are you using at your cab?
What mics? Okay, I always get this wrong. Could we put like a little...
You could say a list of mics, and we'll just edit and chop it up until we get the right combination when it's correct.
Yeah.
So you can list mics.
Yeah, but I have the mics on my phone if I can cheat.
You can cheat as we can. What's this?
It's a Royer, it's a Mojave, and a Shure, but I just don't know the model numbers.
It's just interesting because so many people record at home now.
Yeah.
And so many people are moving away from mics and going into other areas.
And we use actually a room mic on this record as well, which we never do. The room that we recorded in, in this big barn. That was like a renovated barn in upstate New York.
Right.
That
you have barns in New York?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
New York is a big state. It's not only about Manhattan. So Long Island, upstate New York, there's mountains and lakes.
You guys are from Long Island, aren't you?
Yeah. So upstate, if you go up to like even kind of where Woodstock is, where we recorded, you're in the Catskill Mountains, and there's lakes and deer and bears that visited the studio, by the way.
What?
Yes, we had bears. Anyway, it was a barn that was built as a film and recording studio that was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful.
Yeah.
But the original owner, who was Mr. Sakamoto, I think, is a Japanese musician, scored The Revenant.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So he sold it, took all the gear out, so now it's just a big empty shell, beautiful studio. We moved everything in there and wrote the record.
Wow.
So the room had this really beautiful resonant sound. We just decided to stay there and record.
Hence the ambient mic to get some extra
just to
sort of
sneak a tiny little bit of, which I'm not usually a fan of. I like really close mic.
Well, the reason I asked about microphones is because so many people think it's all about the guitar and the amp, and then they forget that ends up in your ears via a bunch of mics and via production and all sorts of interesting tricks that you've done for years.
Exactly.
And you're really used to, probably second nature to you, that many people never get to hear about.
No, they don't. And I like to, I was posting pictures of how we were doing and everything. I'm really open about it, but it's in some ways it's really hard to mess up a guitar sound. I don't understand how people mess it up. Like if the guitar is great, amp is great, you plug in, you dial in a tone, which I've talked about a lot on how to dial in a good tone. Then you're just trying to capture that tone and have it come through the monitors, pretty much sounding the same way it sounds when you're standing by your amp. So there definitely is technique and a science and an art to that.
So you used a Royer and what else?
A Royer, a Mojave, and a Shure.
Right, interesting.
And
which one was the ambient mic?
I don't know, but I'll find it.
Don't tell us. We should never.
Let's get all of this information and add it into this.
We'll put it here.
Yeah.
And did you track in the room with the amp or in the console room? So no feedback and
Well, I did for most of, if not just about all the record, I recorded in the control room, which in this barn was actually upstairs overlooking the main big room, which was really interesting. But for one song on the record, it's called Out of Reach. It's the only ballad on the album. I recorded it with a baritone guitar. And when we had written the music, all of the music that we recorded at the point of writing, just to demo it, was all live. So we had these beautiful live demos in that room. And one of the things that happened on that particular song is I'm playing the baritone guitar, and it has a really sort of sweet guitar melody to it. And I was getting this perfect feedback standing in front of my cabinet.
Wow.
I was like, this is ridiculous. So when we did track that for real, that was the one song where I went down on the floor and tried to recreate that. Yeah.
Right, how interesting.
You'll hear that on the record. The notes kind of blossom into this beautiful.
It's so cool that your new guitar is such an integral part of the new music.
Yeah. Was
there a song on this album that was hard for you? Have you ever written a song that was hard for you to play?
Ever. It's always like that. It's like...
Do you feel that your audience wants you to write music that is technically hard, and you feel like you must serve that because you've laid it down, or do you feel like you can let go of that mantle and you can just write music that feels good to you to kind of catharsize?
Right. Well, here's the thing. I know that a lot of listeners who appreciate Dream Theater music like that aspect of our music, but the important thing to note is that it comes from a very genuine and natural place.
Sure.
Before we were ever signed or anything, and when we got together, that's the kind of music we just wrote. We liked that kind of music, and so all the guys in the band continue to push themselves technically, and it's fun. It's kind of like driving a fast car, or like it's just a lot of fun to do, to challenge each other and make music that not all the time, but at some times is kind of complex and over the top, and it creates a lot of tension and a lot of drama to the music when you do it right. So, we understand that there's a contingent. Is that the right word?
It probably is now. You just said it. You were surrounded by bears when you recorded.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's probably got weight.
Of Dream Theater fans that really like that side of us, but we like that side of us. Like, that's where it comes from. Yeah. It comes from a natural place. So I think the important thing is especially when writing, is that it has to be very genuine.
Yes.
If you start to write for other reasons or other people or to satisfy this, I don't think that's the right way to go.
I always feel like when I get something that comes from I don't know where it comes from, and you get it in one piece, that's a genuine piece of music.
Love that.
If you have to sit down and kind of, today I'm going to write a song and it's a bit contrived, it's not real, and I tend to throw it away.
Yeah.
When do you write best music? Is it with a coffee in your kitchen, with your kids, just jamming, or is it like locked in a room somewhere else, or a studio?
It's all different. The funny thing is that sometimes music just hits you, like you said. It just comes, oh my God, I have to play this. Sometimes it comes when you're fooling around with a piece of gear, which is why I'm such a gear nerd, and I love amps and guitars and trying new pickups and things, because you just get inspired by the instrument and by the the craft and just a love of guitar and a love of gear. And sometimes that, in fact, in a bunch of different places on this record, inspires really cool riffs or chord progressions, whatever. Sometimes it's from massive lack of sleep. Like when you're traveling, you have like super jet lag, and you're in Australia, and you're like, in some weird dream state, and then all of a sudden, all this music kind of pours in.
Man, I've been there. I flew to Australia and then flew to America.
Yeah,
the whole same day again.
Right, a whole concept album on that. It's like a drug. And then
if I do, I'll give it to you.
There you go. Sometimes it's just from being, with great musicians. All the guys in the band are super, super creative. Always. Are really just, generous, and the way that we interact together. There's a lot of chemistry. There's a synergy when we write, and we're all smiling and having fun.
It's a band of brothers, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is really, really important.
It's really nice.
So Ernie Ball, obviously massively influential and really looked after you for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, they give you strings. But what else does Ernie Ball do, maybe behind the scenes, or just generally that helps you out and works with you? And what else do you get from the relationship with people like Sterling, all the guys?
Oh my God, so much more than just strings and guitars. I can honestly say that from the moment I interacted with Sterling and met the Ball family and started working with them, that was one of the best things in my professional career, and turned out to be in my personal life as well. Because they're so into the art of guitar building. They're innovative. They have some of the best engineers ever on their team, and Sterling and his whole family just have this sort of spirit of, like, as Sterling said, making tools for artists, and they're so dedicated to that. So we have come up with some of the most amazing instruments on the planet by working together.
Talking of which, why don't you run us down the new spec of this?
Sure. So this is one of the new 2019 Majesty. So the Majesty debuted several years ago when we decided to do a neck-through version of my signature guitar. So we wanted to do...
Sorry.
Yeah.
My God.
That's pretty... That's impressive.
That's so nice.
Yeah. So we wanted to do a neck-through version that had a lot of access to the higher frets, that was lightweight, and that would just be really comfortable to play.
I think it would be fair to say not a lot of access, but all of the access.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
In fact, it goes further than there is a fret.
That's right. And because the wood is carved away here, you can get your thumb all the way up there as well.
Right. Wow.
So originally, this guitar, if you see, do we have them? Yeah, there's one there actually. I can show you just to demonstrate. If you look at the front, so this whole neck through is all mahogany. It goes all the way through to here, and you see the shield here, and the bridge and the pickups are all mounted to that. And so that's the only piece on this particular guitar where there's a maple top there.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all mahogany. With this particular one that I'm holding, this was the first time for 2019 that we did a full maple top.
Right.
And the other thing is that most of the Majesties are mahogany. This is an alder version. So it's a mahogany neck through with a big maple top, and it's alder, and it's like, this one is a tiger eye version. It's the only one in the new series that looks like this. The other ones, they're all just as beautiful and gorgeous, but they're all different.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd hate to say the two words tone and wood.
Yeah.
But is it really tremendously important to you which timbers are used and where they're placed in a guitar build?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I have this thing where, again, the purity of sound. When you just plug the guitar into the boogie, you have these two great ingredients. And what I want to hear is just this giant monster of a sound, you know, with a lot of like clarity and depth and range that just sounds like a house when you play it. So, you know, and the combination of these woods and the way that they're doing with the neck through, the mahogany, the maple, you know, in this case alder, there's nothing that sounds like that. It just like sounds so sweet and so bold.
Yeah.
And aggressive. It like jumps out of your hands, you know. It's amazing.
So what I like about you and this is that you are obviously tremendously proud of your product.
Yeah.
And it's also really obvious to me that this isn't like a financial thing, this is a love thing.
Right.
And it's really nice to see that, because this world is full of people that make guitars and full of people that make guitars for all sorts of different reasons. And you strike me as tremendously genuine.
Thank you.
And long may it live.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I wish you all the success with the album.
Thank you.
Which comes out in February.
So February 22nd. It's called Distance Over Time. It's actually Dream Theater's 14th studio album.
That's a lot.
It's crazy.
Of album.
It's a lot of albums, and we're really excited about it.
Right.
So,
you've got a growing bear audience, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
And and when does this guitar launch? Is it launched now, or?
I guess it's officially launched now. I'm not 100% sure of when it will be available. But April 1st, there we go.
You heard it from the corner of the room.
We heard
April
it.
1st. Do we have a map in USA?
Each one's different.
Each one's a different price, if he holds them, or
there are some of the finishes are. That's another one. That's kinetic blue. So that's a color change version. So remember, I said they're all different.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
It's quite nice. Well, I'll have to talk to Uncle Sterling and see if he would ever, in any way, allow me to touch one in England.
There we go.
John, thank you so much.
All right, Rob. That was fun.
It's been really nice to
cool,
meet you,
man.
Chad.
Nice to meet you.
Take
too.
it easy, man.
All right.
Bye. This is our pretend goodbye thing, but we're just going to stay here and hang. See you later, guys.
You're looking good.
I need to do a lot more press ups.